Hi, ladies. There is something many women misunderstand about attraction, and it quietly changes the way they see themselves. A lot of women assume that if men are not constantly approaching them, complimenting them, or openly showing interest, it must mean they are not that attractive. But the truth is something most people never talk about. Men notice attractive women far more often than women realize. The difference is that many men do not always act on it immediately. Sometimes they hesitate. Sometimes they assume you are already taken. Sometimes they simply admire you from a distance, without saying anything at all. So the attention is there, but it is often much quieter than most women expect. If you have ever wondered whether men actually notice you or see you as attractive, pay attention to this. Because men often reveal their attraction through small behaviors, long before they ever say anything directly. Once you start recognizing these patterns, attraction becomes surprisingly easy to spot. Today we are going to talk about 8 subtle signs that men find you attractive, even when they try to hide it. And once you understand these signs, you will begin to see them everywhere. The first sign is eye contact that lasts just a little longer than normal. This is one of the most natural reactions humans have when we see someone we find attractive. When a man notices a woman who catches his attention, his eyes often linger for an extra second before he even realizes it. And the interesting part is what usually happens next. The moment you catch him looking, he may quickly look away. Maybe he pretends to check his phone. Maybe he looks down at his drink. Maybe he suddenly finds something else in the room very interesting. But a few seconds later, his eyes return again. You might notice this in places like coffee shops, restaurants, or social events. You glance across the room and briefly lock eyes with someone. He quickly looks away. Then later, you catch him looking again. That pattern is rarely random. Attraction grabs attention before confidence decides what to do about it. So repeated eye contact is often one of the clearest silent signals that someone finds you attractive. The second sign is when men position themselves near you without an obvious reason. This is something people do subconsciously. When someone feels drawn to another person, they naturally want to be closer to them. But instead of walking straight up and starting a conversation, many men create situations where interaction might happen naturally. You may notice this at parties, events, or gatherings. Maybe you move to the bar to order a drink, and suddenly someone new appears standing nearby. Maybe you join a group conversation and someone casually joins the circle as well. Or perhaps you notice the same person appearing in different areas of the room throughout the night. From the outside, it can look like coincidence. But attraction often shows up through small positioning choices like this. People naturally move toward what they find interesting. The third sign is when people listen very closely when you speak. Attraction is not only about physical appearance. It is also about presence. When someone finds you attractive, your voice, your words, and even your small expressions suddenly become more interesting to them. There is actually a psychological concept behind this called the halo effect. The halo effect happens when someone has one appealing quality, like beauty or confidence, and people subconsciously assume they must have other positive traits too. So when an attractive woman speaks, people often assume she is also intelligent, engaging, and interesting. Because of this, people tend to pay closer attention. You might notice someone leaning slightly toward you when you talk. They maintain eye contact longer. They react more strongly to your stories or jokes. This type of attention is rarely accidental. It usually means the person is more engaged with you than they are with others in the room. The fourth sign is mirroring. Mirroring is one of the most fascinating subconscious behaviors humans have. When someone feels comfortable or attracted to another person, their body language often begins to match the other person's movements. Without realizing it, they start copying small gestures. If you lean slightly against the table, they may shift their posture in a similar way a moment later. If you take a sip of your drink, they might reach for theirs shortly after. If you adjust your hands while speaking, they might begin moving their hands in a similar rhythm. This happens because the brain tries to create a sense of harmony and connection. When someone mirrors your body language, it usually means they are paying close attention to you and feeling a subtle bond. And most of the time, they are not even aware they are doing it. The fifth sign is compliments that go beyond appearance. Anyone can say, "You look nice today," but when someone is genuinely attracted to you, their compliments often become more specific and personal. They may comment on the way you carry yourself. They might say you have a calm energy, or they might tell you that you are easy to talk to. These kinds of compliments reveal something deeper. It means they are not just noticing how you look. They are paying attention to how you make them feel. When someone begins complimenting your personality, your presence, or your energy, attraction has usually already formed in their mind. The sixth sign is when you catch someone looking at you repeatedly throughout the same environment. Attraction naturally pulls attention. The human brain tends to return to things it finds interesting. So when someone finds you attractive, their attention often drifts back to you again and again. You might notice quick glances across a room. Maybe someone looks away quickly when you notice. Or maybe you catch the same person glancing over several times during the evening. Many people try to hide their interest in public settings, but repeated glances almost always reveal where their attention truly is. The seventh sign is when people behave differently around you. When someone finds another person attractive, their behavior often changes slightly. Some people become more attentive. They listen more carefully and respond more thoughtfully. Others may become a little more energetic or animated. You might notice someone speaking louder when you enter the room, or someone suddenly trying a little harder to be funny. Both reactions come from the same place. They want to stand out in your presence. Attraction often influences social dynamics more than people realize. The eighth and final sign is when people assume you already have many options. This usually appears in small comments. Someone might joke that you probably have many people messaging you. Someone might ask if you are already seeing someone, or they might say they cannot believe you are single. These comments may seem casual, but they reveal an assumption. People often believe attractive individuals already have many options. So instead of approaching confidently, some men hesitate because they assume competition already exists. Ironically, this is one reason some very attractive women get approached less often than people expect. Many men simply assume someone else has already made the move. The truth is that attraction rarely announces itself loudly. Most of the time, it appears in small behaviors, subtle glances, and quiet shifts in attention. Many women doubt their attractiveness because they expect obvious signals. But in reality, attraction often lives in the small moments people do not consciously control. The quick glance across the room, the subtle change in body language, the extra attention during conversation. Once you start noticing these patterns, something interesting happens. You stop questioning your value. You begin to understand the quiet influence your presence can have in a room. And the moment that awareness turns into confidence, people around you start responding to you differently, because confidence has a way of amplifying everything else. And sometimes, the most powerful presence in a room is not the loudest one. It is the person who simply knows their worth.